And that's one of the other things I love about open source and this community, and that's its curiosity, that is continually learning by doing, by pushing the envelope, trying to understand how to build systems that work better. And the reason I use this slide of a classroom is because there's also just a little sidelight here. The gift of universal education was one of the great advances of the 19th and 20th century. But we are now moving beyond it. And we're moving beyond it in a way that is demonstrated by this community. Because we can no longer treat education simply as something we do once, as a stage of life that we get over with. And what the open source community reminds us of is that we have to keep learning through life. We have to keep reinventing ourselves. We have to keep rediscovering that way of life and aligning ourselves with it. Because we're now entering into a new world. And AI is one of these areas where there's this tremendous opportunity and need for learning. And it's so important that some of the key open source, the key AI technologies are open source, and that groups like OpenAI are trying to put this stuff into the public domain. But we have to go further than that. We have to understand our algorithms and what we're building. This is not an O'Reilly conference. I wish it was, but I think it's great that it's associated with ACM, and it's really a science conference, a conference on fairness, accountability, and transparency in algorithms. And we definitely have to go deeper there. But we also need to understand that our markets are increasingly ruled by algorithms and by AI. And part of understanding what I'm calling the way of life is summed up beautifully in the title of a book on market design by Alvin Roth called Who Gets What and Why. He got his Nobel Prize for the design of better marketplaces for kidney exchange, kidney transplants. But his point was that markets are the outcome of design decisions, and you can design better markets. And so we now have these vast marketplaces in the cloud where the algorithms decide who gets what and why. And we understand that a better designed marketplace can have better outcomes. So we can see the failure modes already. So here's a recent tweet. A driver in Houston just texted me. He drove for 3 hours last night and didn't make a single dollar. Actually, he lost $5.50. Right? This ride-sharing stuff is ridiculous for many drivers. So here's Uber, whose fundamental job is to actually make a matching marketplace of drivers and passengers. And they have to get it right. If they don't solve this problem, they will fail. If they cannot actually figure out how to use their algorithms to manage this marketplace in such a way that both sides win, they're screwed. And we see this throughout the history of other companies. Generosity is the robust strategy. You look at what happened with the iPhone. Here was this new proprietary platform. Microsoft, Nokia, other companies went up against it with their own proprietary platforms. Google established an alternative with generosity by making open source available for others to build on. Unfortunately, over time, they figured out how to make that a new source of lock-in. They're just the subject of a recent lawsuit from the EC, European Community. This is a real problem. They have actually forgotten the way of life. And they've also forgotten it in their core search. Just do a search in Google, and you'll see, for example, this is a search for restaurants near my home in Oakland. Google itself is delivering the results. You can see down at the bottom the old site of the web, Yelp, well below the fold on a normal screen. Google forgot that its strength was in the rich ecosystem of the open web and began to compete with it. And conveniently, that also increases Google profits. Amazon is also competing with its supplier ecosystem. This is a failure to understand the way of life.